Hello and welcome to African Economy, your weekly dive into the key financial stories shaping markets right here on the continent. I am Wangfona Basi-Walter. Here's what we have for you today. Africa to receive over 2 billion euros from European Investment Bank for renewable energy product. Sudan, Zimbabwe and Burundi listed among countries losing most purchasing power in 2025. South African executive Thabo Mbeki to head Dangote sugar refinery amid $700 million expansion. NNPC post 5.4 trillion naira record profit as Odulari sets $60 billion energy investment plan. Let's take a look at how the US dollar is performing relative to other African currencies. The US dollar Nigerian naira exchange rate fell to 1,452 naira 11 kobo, indicating that the US dollar is falling against the Nigerian naira at 2.940, down from 0.20% from the previous session. The US dollars against the South African rand fell to 17 rand, down from 0.43% amid a broadly stable dollar and improving domestic economic fundamentals. The US dollars against the Zambian kwacha exchange rate fell to 22 kwacha, indicating that the US dollars has fallen against the Zambian kwacha at 0.5440, down from 0.90%. The US dollars against Egyptian pound is at 47 pound, which shows that the US dollars is rising against Egyptian pound at 0.0750 with a percentage of 0.16. The US dollars against the Algerian dinar is at 130 dinar, indicating that the US dollars is rising against the Algerian dinar at 0.046%. The US dollars against Angolan kwanza exchange rate is unchanged at 913 kwanza. Canadian mining giant Barrick has reached a settlement with the Malian government to resolve a year-long dispute over the Loulo-Gounkoto gold mining complex, which has stalled operations and limited the company's ability to benefit from rising gold prices. The conflict began in July 2023 when Mali's military-led government introduced a new mining code that raised taxes and increased the state ownership stake in mining projects. Tensions escalated later that year and into the 2024, culminating into the issuance of an arrest warrant for Barrick CEO Mark Bristow. Barrick had responded by proposing a $370 million settlement to resolve the legal impasse. The dispute reportedly resulted in the detention of 4 employees, a suspension of gold export, and the temporary shutdown of the Loulo-Gounkoto mine in January 2025. Under the new agreement, Barrick will regain full operation control of the Loulo-Gounkoto complex, and in return, Mali has agreed to drop all charges against Barrick and its affiliate and release the detained employees. Sudan, Zimbabwe and Burundi have been listed among the countries losing the most purchasing power in 2025 as high inflation drives up prices and reduces the value of money. Using projected inflation rate from the International Monetary Fund (IMF), an estimate was made on how much $100 at the start of the year will be worth by the end of 2025 in different countries. Sudan tops the list in Africa with high inflation. $100 saved at the beginning of the year would be worth only about $67 by December, according to a report. Zimbabwe and Burundi are also heavily affected, with $100 in each country projected to drop at around $77 by the end of the year. This means that prices for basic goods, services and rents are rising faster than wages, squeezing out household budgets and reducing the purchasing power of ordinary citizens. Globally, some countries are facing even more extreme scenarios. Venezuela, for example, is expected to experience inflation of nearly 549% in this year. In practical terms, $100 saved at the start of the year would only purchase around $15 worth of goods by December. The country's financial crisis has been worsened by economic sanctions and ongoing instability, leaving families struggling to cover basic needs. Away from that, Israel Aerospace Industries unit, Bluebird Aero Systems, is preparing to inaugurate the first large-scale suicide drone production facility in Morocco, marking a significant step in the region's emerging defense manufacturing space. Suicide drones, also known as loitering munitions, carry a warhead, roam above an area until a target is identified, and then strike by crashing into it. The missions can be redirected or aborted in flight, and they range from small backpack launch systems to larger long-range platforms. The facility, located in Beslimane on the outskirts of Casablanca, will assemble Spy-X loitering munitions drones capable of carrying out precision strikes against armored vehicles, military bases, and other high-value targets. While other African nations have begun developing suicide drone capabilities, Sudan unveiled a Kamin-25 FPV kamikaze drone in 2023, and Ethiopia inaugurated Skin War Aeronautics in 2025 for general UAV production. Morocco's plans stand out as a first formalized large-scale facility dedicated to this type of Israeli-designed system. The European Investment Bank, EIB, has announced plans to commit more than €2 billion over the next 2 years to support renewable energy projects across Africa. The funding will back the development of hydroelectric, solar and wind power plants, as well as upgrades and expansions to the continent's transmission and distribution networks. EIB Vice President Ambrose Falloye is expected to provide further details on the funding during a European Union-African Union summit in Luanda, Angola. The commitment builds on earlier EU efforts where in September the European Union unveiled its €545 million program aimed at accelerating renewable energy investment in Africa. That package seeks to expand electrification, modernize power grids, and improve access to clean and reliable energy. Despite Africa's enormous renewable energy potential, nearly 600 million people on the continent still lack access to electricity. The European Commission has highlighted that initiatives like these could support the creation of up to 38 million green jobs by 2030. According to reports, the program will target projects in 9 countries like Cameroon, Central African Republic, Republic of Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Lesotho, Madagascar, Mozambique, and Somalia. Africa's real estate market is rapidly growing due to increased urbanization, infrastructure investment, and global investor interest. Now, the market is projected to reach $17.64 trillion by 2025, with the residential sector leading at $14.87 trillion. Being physically present in Africa during the holiday season offers diaspora investors a chance to mitigate dangers and vet investment firsthand. However, key countries for investment include Mauritius, Seychelles, South Africa, and Rwanda, each catering to varied lifestyle and financial preferences. Now, the top African countries worth your attention this season, each offering unique value depending on your budget, investment goals, and preferred lifestyle, or Nigeria, which is Africa's largest market with massive demand. Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt remain some of the most profitable real estate market on the continent, driven by a population of over 220 million and a housing deficit of about 20 million units. Another country is Mauritius. They have positioned itself as one of Africa's most attractive luxury real estate destinations. Seychelles remains a favorite a favorite for buyers seeking exclusivity. The island's Passport by Investment program attracts foreigners looking for luxury beachfront properties that they steadily appreciate. We also have Egypt, Namibia, South Africa, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Ghana, as well as Kenya. We will go on a break, and when we return, African economy continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. This has been African Economy, bringing you insights that matter in Africa's evolving financial landscape. My name is Wang Von Walter, and I've been the anchor of the program. And now to the rest of the stories. Nigeria's Dangote Group has partnered with Honeywell International Incorporated to provide technology and services aimed at doubling the capacity of its refinery to 1.4 million barrels per day by 2028, a move that signals significant progress towards Dangote's goal of building the world's largest petroleum refinery. The agreement will enable Dangote to process a wider range of crude grades, supported by Honeywell's catalyst and equipment. In addition, Dangote plans to increase polypropylene production, and industrial material used in everything from plastic containers to car parts to 2.4 million metric tons annually through a license for Honeywell's Oleflex technology. Although financial terms were not disclosed, according to a report, the deal suggests that it could exceed $250 million depending on the scope and complexity of the project. Still in Nigeria, Dangote Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has reported a record profit after tax of 5.4 trillion naira for 2024 on revenue of 45.1 trillion naira, marking one of the strongest annual performances since the state-owned energy company transitioned into a commercially driven entity under the Petroleum Industry Act. The figures which Bayo Ojolari, NNPC's group Chief Executive Officer, announced during an earnings call with journalists in Abuja reflect what he described as a year of strong operational delivery, with revenue jumping 88% and profits rising 64% from the previous year. Earnings per share climbed from 64% to 27.7 naira, underscoring what management says is growing financial resilience in an increasingly complex operating environment. He said the company's 2024 financial performance underscores the impact of improved operational efficiency, downstream market reforms and strict cost discipline. The Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC a subsidiary of Dangote Group, has announced that South African executive Thabo Mabe will become its new group managing director and CEO effective December 1, 2025, pending shareholder approval at the next general meeting. He will succeed Ravindra Shimvi, who steps down on November 30, 2025, marking the end of a significant chapter in the company's leadership. Shingvi, who joined the board in May 2020, was credited with driving major investments projects, consistent revenue growth, digital transformation initiatives, and strengthening the company's brand. Reflecting on his tenure, the board expressed gratitude for his leadership and the impact he made on the company's growth. Lastly, on African economy, Ghana looks to leverage recent economic strides by aligning lending rates with inflation trends. The nation's inflation rate has unexpectedly dropped ahead of projections, impacting real borrowing cost. Also, the central bank recently adjusted the main interest rate, reflecting declines in hierarchical inflation. Meanwhile, Ghanaian officials have pledged to uphold a high level of fiscal management in the wake of these estimates, particularly as the country approaches the conclusion of its 3-year IMF bailout agreement. That's a wrap for this edition of African Economy. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media channels at Spectrum TV. Remember, African Economy airs live every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Until next time, keep thinking growth, keep thinking progress, because this is where Africa's economy speaks. I am Wangfona Basi Walter. Goodbye, Africa.